Hey y'all, it's Tanya Johnson from Helping Hearts Homeschool, and we are going to go over some basic organizational skills today when it comes to the scheduling of the curriculum. So three main things we're going to cover are the yearly and weekly curriculum scheduling. So what that looks like is yearly curriculum scheduling is how do I take my book and decide how many pages I need to do every week or every month or every day or however we are calculating it. And then the weekly scheduling is taking that format, putting it into a weekly spreadsheet. So I can look at my spreadsheet each morning and say, okay, this is what we're doing for phonics. This is what we're doing for math today. This is what we're doing for history, so on and so forth. So we're going to dive deep into how to set both of those up. Now, the yearly we do one time when we get our curriculum. So this is not something that's very time consuming. Typically takes me 30 to 60 minutes one time per year to get through my entire set of curriculum. Now, the weekly scheduling, I sit down weekly and do this because things do change week to week. Now, the first year that I did this, I did sit down and I planned out my weekly schedules for the entire 50 plus weeks. By about week 4, I was behind in certain areas, I was ahead in certain areas, and I was having to redo them every week anyways. So I highly recommend just doing them week to week, and I'm going to show you how that process looks. The yearly and monthly overviews are more of a fun project to take on. So the yearly, again, I do once a year, and if I need to add stuff, I can, but that's where like our major field trips or family trips are going to be put in. And then the monthly overview is just a basic monthly calendar. So each month I'm typically working with 2 calendars. I have this month and next month. So right now, for example, I'm filming this. It is March of 2023. So I have my March calendar in front of me, but I also have my April calendar. So when things pop up that are going to be in April, I go ahead and add them. So by the time April 1st comes around, my April calendar is already done. And at that point, I'm going to pull out the May calendar and start adding to that. So that is not one that I really sit down and do necessarily. It is one that kind of comes if a play date is planned. Okay, I'm going to put it on the calendar. If a doctor's appointment is added, or if my husband has a work trip. Like right now, I'm literally filming from the hotel. My husband came home a little less than a week ago and was like, hey, they're going to send me to Alabama for a week. Do you all want to come? And of course we said yes. We work from home and homeschool specifically for the freedom. So we packed up and we drove 5 hours to get to Alabama, and we are schooling and working from a hotel this week. So lots of fun, but things that I need to be able to know at a moment's glance. If somebody asks me, hey, do you want to do this on XYZ? I can easily pull up my calendar and be like, oh, yes or no, here's why. And then the third thing we're going to cover is just keeping attendance and like the record keeping. This is a super simple part of homeschooling, but it is one I get a lot of questions on. I think people just overcomplicate it, or they think it's going to be harder than it actually is. It's one sheet. We update it every couple of days. And at the end of the year, I have my entire record for all of whatever grade that we just finished. And all I have to do is take a snapshot of it and turn it into our coalition. First thing we're going to dive into is scheduling out our curriculum for the year. So again, this is just taking history or math or whatever the subject is and saying, okay, how many pages do I need to get done? What I do is I do each week, but you can divide it by days or whatever. How much do I need to get done each week in order to finish by the end of our year? So I have this spreadsheet that you are welcome to download. It's down in the details, or you can just use a piece of notebook paper. Starting out, I did not have spreadsheets or planners or anything that I used. I literally did everything in a plain spiral bound notebook because that's what I had. So don't think you have to have anything fancy to get this started and to be able to keep these really good records for your homeschool. Now I am going to go ahead and make this bigger so you can see what I am doing. And full disclosure, I do not use a digital planner. I'm simply doing it this way right now so you can see it. I print everything out, I bind it into a book, and I have a paper planner that I use. I am an old-fashioned girl. That's just what I prefer. If you prefer to use it digitally, use it digitally. And there's so many different apps and things out there as well. This is what I choose to use, and I'm going to show you just how simple it is to break everything down. So, first column we have here is subject. Literally, all you're going to do is type in whatever subject you're doing. So let's do spelling. Just kidding. Probably should spell spelling correct. So I would write spelling here. And then how many pages / lessons. So what that is asking me is how many pages or how many lessons are in the entire book. Now, with spelling, we are not going to go by page. We're going to go by lessons because I like to be able to start our spelling on Monday and have the spelling test on Friday. I typically don't like to carry that over on the weekend and have 2 days of not practicing our spelling and then jump straight into a test. Again, that is 100% how I like to do it. So in our spelling book, there are 30 lessons and then 6 review chapters. So I'm just going to make it simple and I'm just going to put it in here as 36. We will spread this over 36 weeks. So for us, we base our homeschool off of 50 weeks. That gives me 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the year, obviously, to have off. And that comes in handy around Christmas time and all the other fun things that we do. So I am basing it off of 50 weeks. So what I'm going to do here, I'm still just going to plan for 1 lesson per week. But I know that that is going to give me a lot of flexibility, 14 weeks to be exact, that I don't have to do spelling. So if we have a season come up that is hard, then we know one of the subjects that we don't have to make sure we get every single week is going to be spelling. So when a season of life comes that you need to be able to step back a little bit or take off altogether, you can easily look on your curriculum scheduling chart and say, okay, what subjects do I need to not worry about, either because I'm ahead or I have this many weeks of leeway. So spelling, for example, I know if I have a rough season come up, we could take a couple of weeks off of spelling and it wouldn't hurt us. Now, on the flip side, we usually don't take any time off. We try to make learning very fun, so we typically don't take big chunks of breaks. So what that means is we're typically going to have extra weeks of spelling that we don't have any spelling curriculum. This allows us to go ahead and start the next grade of spelling, or to do some fun work if there's any areas that she is needing extra help in. And that is up to the parent. So that's up to you. If you get to week 36 and all your spelling is done and your kid flew through, grade 4 of whatever curriculum you were using, and you're like, well, I don't know, what should I do? I have 14 weeks that I don't have any curriculum. Start her in grade 5. You don't have to be in the same grade in every single subject. In fact, we aren't. We are in 2nd grade for half our subjects and 3rd grade for the other half. Part of homeschooling is letting your child work at their own pace. That's going to mean certain subjects are going to come more naturally to them and they're going to fly through them. Other subjects, you're going to need a little bit more work, and that's completely fine. With our homeschool, for example, when it came to reading, we started kindergarten when my daughter was 4.5 years old. She wasn't ready for reading yet, so we took 18 months to get through our kindergarten reading program. Meanwhile, she was doing really well in math, so when we started 1st grade math, we were barely halfway through kindergarten reading, and that's okay. Now, then what I'm going to do, the spelling is a little bit different for us because I did it by chapters, so I'm going to show you one by pages. I would need to know, okay, how many pages or lessons do I need to do per week? So I'm just going to put a nice little 1 in here. And I know when I do my weekly scheduling that I'm going to do 1 lesson per week, and that's what we're going to schedule. Okay, so let me show you another one. Let's do our language arts. So our language arts has 140 pages. Pretty much every page is its own little separate lesson for language arts, so I'm just going to stick with 150. Now, I messed up on here. So here I should have put 50 because that's how many weeks that we are going by. So this column's never going to change. This is honestly just for your peace of mind, I guess, so you know you're doing it right. So 50 is what I need in this column. So I have 140 pages I want to get done in 50 weeks. So all I'm going to do is divide 140 by 50, and it's going to tell me how many pages per week I need to get done. So if I take 140 and divide it by 50, then I need to do 2.8 pages per week to get our language arts done. So what I would do here is I would just put 3. So I know I need to do 3 pages per week, which comes out to doing language arts 3 times per week, 1 page per day. Now, what I like to do, we are on a 4-day school week. So I schedule in language arts for 4 days a week, and we typically do it 4 days a week. Most of my subjects I do 4 days a week. Now, the reason I do that is, again, if I ever come into a hard season or I need to take a couple of weeks off for whatever, like when we just moved across country from Indiana to South Carolina, we took 5 weeks off. But because I always do a little bit of extra every week, the 5 weeks didn't hurt us. It just put us back to where like normal homeschool families would be in the school year. So I like to do that. Now, if I have a heavy subject that, already is scheduled for 5 days a week, I'm not going to do extra at that point. But most subjects, when you sit down and break it up like this, you're going to find out they're scheduled between 2 and 4 days per week. That's it. So that allows you to go ahead and do an extra page or two every week. And that page or two compounds over time to where you're ahead lessons and sometimes entire chapters when you get to certain months of the year. So I'm going to show one more on here. This is a pretty simple process, so I'm sure by now you have it, but let me show you one more. This is what I would do at the beginning of every year. Now, if you're homeschool like us, where one year kind of flows into the next, I don't sit down and do this at the beginning of every year anymore because we don't really have a beginning of the year. If we finish language arts in April, then we start our next grade in May. So I'm going to sit down and do this as soon as I get my new book. So I don't do a new page. I don't print a new page of this every single year. I just keep it running. So for example, we just started 3rd grade spelling. So all I'm going to do is at the bottom of the page I already have going, just add spelling. I'll put 3rd grade beside it, and then I'll do this exact process that I just showed you. So you can print them out and do them once a year. If your school year flows together, then just do it every time you get a new curriculum pack in. So the last one I'm going to show you is our critical thinking book, because that, again, is done in chapters. It's actually units. This is my daughter's, by far, her favorite subject. It is super fun. You can actually get it from Evan Moore. It is linked up in my Amazon storefront on Instagram if you're over there. But it's just one that is honestly a lot of fun, and it's educational, so we love it. There's a lot of puzzles, a lot of just brainstorming stuff. Now, it happens to have 46 lessons. So, and each lesson is 3 pages long, and it is themed. So you might have one all about spiders, one all about snakes, one all about Valentine's Day, one all about St. Patrick's Day. Let me just flip through, actually. There's one all about eating your veggies. There's one about pockets. There's one about things on a screen. Like, they just, I don't know, they're really good at making kids think. So with 46 lessons, I know that I need to do about 1 a week. So I'm just going to put 1 a week up here. However, because it is her favorite subject, we do double up on this. We do 2 lessons per week typically, and we alternate with this and our test prep book. So test prep has 2 to 3 pages per week is what gets us done at the end of the 50 weeks. So we typically will do Monday, we'll do critical thinking, Tuesday, we'll do test prep, Wednesday, critical thinking, Thursday, test prep. And then what I do is if I want to take a few weeks off of critical thinking, we'll throw in another critical thinking type subject. Like maybe we will do a unit study or something special and fun that still uses that same side of her brain and still gets her out of the element of doing workbooks and having a lot of fun. But we will put the critical and creative book away for the weeks that I need something fun that doesn't take any prep work from me. Those of y'all that have done unit studies, it typically takes a little bit of prep work. We have a themed St. Patrick's School Day coming up this week. I know it took me a little bit of work, a little bit of money, a little bit of printing and designing and different things, and it's going to be a ton of fun, but I don't do those kind of days every single week. Instead, I do things like critical and creative thinking, where the book does it all for me and my daughter has just as much fun. So this is how I schedule out my curriculum for the year. Again, it is very, very simple. We're going to refer back to this chart when we do our weekly scheduling, which I'm going to show you in a minute, but for now, on to our year at a glance. So just so you can see what this looks like, it literally is August, because that's when our school year starts. Technically, I know we do year round, but August is kind of when our record keeping start, all the way through July. So on this one, all I would do is put in the dates that I already know. So if we have anything that's happening that month that I know of, I'm going to go ahead and put it on here. So for us, I know that August is Glory's birthday. So I know for sure we're going to end up having some kind of birthday party or something. And that is absolutely going to be an off school day. It might be off a few school days. Sometimes we do trips. It really just depends on what we are doing for that season. So I have her birthday in there. Now, September, kind of same thing. I know that my birthday is end of September. My husband's is the beginning of October. and our anniversary is at the beginning of September. So I'm just going to type in here anniversary because I know, again, we're probably going to take a trip or do something that's going to cause us to take off of school for a little bit, or at the very least have some what we call easy days. Now, October, we have an annual homeschool Halloween party, so I'm going to put that on here because I know it happens every single year. And then our church also has a giant fall festival. So again, I know that that is just going to be a slightly busier Halloween. Just kidding. Fall festival. A little bit busier schedule for us. Now, November. We all know that November is busy anyways. We're leading up to Christmas. But then we also have Thanksgiving. So typically we're going to be traveling a little bit, spending time with friends and family. And then Black Friday, I typically do a ton of shopping and I get a lot of our Christmas, if not all of our Christmas presents done. We typically do for us, and then we will sponsor a few families as well. So we do a ton of shopping for Christmas, and I like to do it on Black Friday because I do like to get the best bang for my buck. So then we have Christmas. And then also, we do a big homeschool Christmas party. So I know that we will have that in there, and that takes quite a bit of planning. It also takes off of one of our school days. Now, January typically is my month to not really do anything because we did just have such a busy several months. February, we have a homeschool Valentine's party. Have y'all got the drift that we really like to party? I used to work in a public school, and I really loved that they made a big deal out of everything. So Earth Day, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, they just had a lot of fun. So I make sure and I incorporate that same thing into our homeschool. March, we don't typically have a whole lot planned. I do a St. Patrick's school day every year because my daughter really likes it. But it is pretty low key. It's not like a big party or anything, and it's just our family. Now, April, we typically have a homeschool Easter party. We aren't doing that this year. I'm going to put this in because it normally was in our calendar. But because we are traveling so much in March, which is typically not on the schedule, we decided not to have the Easter party just because, again, everything that we do, we get to decide, okay, am I doing this? Is it helping design the life that I want? For us, we like peace. We like calm. We like to hang out by the pool. I don't like busy all the time. It's not something that feeds my soul. It's something that I know my daughter starts having a little bit more of an attitude around. We like to make sure that we're pouring into ourselves and we're taking a lot of self-care time. And so being on the go all the time is not good for moms, not good for kids, not good for anybody. So we chose to eliminate that, but we are going to have a fun Easter egg hunt, maybe with a friend or two, but it's not going to be an actual Easter party. May, we have nothing planned, and I hope it stays like that. In June, our church has what they call day camp, which is basically a week-long VBS that runs from 7 in the morning until 5 o'clock at night. And I am a camp counselor for that, so we will be taking off school. My daughter's enrolled to go to the camp, and then we'll be having a ton of fun, but absolutely we won't be trying to do school around that schedule. And then in July, we have a week-long VBS, so I know that for us, school will be modified. We won't take off for the week, but it will be low prep stuff, and it'll be a lot of independent work for her. So year at a glance, I can look at my year and say, okay, in September, someone wants me to do X, Y, Z. Do I already have too many things planned? In October, someone wants me to do X, Y, Z. Probably not. Usually October, November, and December, I X out my calendar and I don't really take on anything extra. Now I have months that I have nothing planned. I have months that the only thing planned is like a Valentine party or something. And then we have June and July where we have week-long events planned that probably I'm not going to do anything extra the weeks that we're not doing that specific event. So that's the purpose of doing year at a glance, just so you can have peace of mind knowing that you're as busy or not busy as you want to be, all in the choices that you're making on a month-to-month basis. The attendance tracker, this is one that nobody likes to do, but most of us have to do it. And honestly, if you don't have to, you probably still should keep some kind of record to look back on. And this is super, super easy. So right here, I literally have homeschool attendance tracker. And I'm just going to put my student's name. So what student is this record for? For me, this is for Glory. This is for the only kid that we have. So I would print more. I would print 1 page per kid if you have more than 1 kid, just because it'll be the easiest way to keep an accurate record versus trying to keep them all the same. Typically, if you have more than 1 kid, they have different sick days. You may have different sports programs that they're in. They may not do school the exact same every single time. Now, school year, we're going to put 2023. Now, notice I'm not putting grades on there unless I specifically have to know what grade that they're in, which sometimes you do have to report that, and that's totally fine. I'm just going to put school year 2023, and then in parentheses, I'm going to put 2nd/3rd for my own well-being, just so I know. And then I'm putting her age beside it as well, again, just so I have all the records. Now, I don't necessarily like hand this page over to somebody, although if I needed to, I can. So that lets me see, okay, she's 8. She will not be 9 until the 2024 school year. So I know that 2nd grade is where she should be as far as age-wise. 3rd grade is where we're at in over half of our subjects. So we are absolutely ahead, quote unquote, from school standards. So there's no way we're getting in trouble for anything, which again, just kind of gives you that peace of mind in case you ever have to turn in records. Now, right across here, I've got July through June. Again, you can choose if you're doing a 9-month schedule, then you would just take your marker and you would mark off whatever months you're not doing. And then I have this on a 5-week rotation because, oh, what are we doing? There we go. My letters were moving with me and that's not what I wanted. Okay, so I have this on a 5-week rotation because some months do have not more than 4 weeks, but you know how it's broken down on a calendar. If it starts like on a Wednesday, it might end technically in a week 5 like segment when you're looking at a calendar. So it's just easier to do it this way. So we have week 1, Monday through Friday, week 2, Monday through Friday, 3, 4, and 5. And then on the bottom here, it says days required. So all I'm going to do is type in, okay, how many days does my state require? For us, we're in South Carolina, and our state requires 180 days. And like I said, we do year round. So we hit the 180-day mark way before our school year is over. So I'm never worried that we're not going to hit those, but I do always want to have an accurate record of that. If I ever have to be accountable to anybody, I can say, hey, I know what the laws are. I keep track of when my daughter goes to school. Like, we are doing everything, if not more, than a public school system would do. We're good. Like, don't come and like stick your nose in our business. That's kind of nasty, but that's my feeling around it. Like, this is my kid. I'm homeschooling her. I'm dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's. Y'all don't need to worry about us, okay? That's kind of my attitude around this. And all I'm going to do is, let's say we're in July. We're not, but let's say we're in July. Now, again, I print this off. So I would typically just have my marker and I'd either color in the boxes or just put an X over the boxes or whatever. But for this, because I don't have that, I am just going to use a black X. And all you'd have to do is stick X's when you're done with a school day. So let's say I do this once a week. Let's say at the end of the week, I look back and say, okay, first week of July, we did school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now for us, Wednesday, we don't typically do school, so Wednesday would be an off day. So we did Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I do that every week, and at the end of every month, I can easily total up how many school days we had, which means at the end of every year, I can easily total up that we hit that 180 days. So that is all that is. It is very, very simple. It is just a homeschool attendance tracker. And like I said, y'all, you can make spreadsheets up for this. You can do notebooks. You don't have to get fancy at all with this. What I'm using right here is the homeschool curriculum planner. So this is a planner that I designed. I'm the founder of Helping Hearts Homeschool. And so what I do is I have different lifestyle planners for homeschool moms. If you want this, you can easily go get it. I think it's like $9 or something in my shop. I don't know. There's a few different planners up there. But you literally just go to helpingheartshomeschool.com. So up here, you'll see the menu bar. I have the start here. And this just tells a little bit about what the website is. So you're welcome to take a look at that. Also, guys, I do have a cold as I'm recording this. So if it sounds a little wonky, I apologize. I'm doing my best to keep my throat hydrated, but I can tell as I'm speaking, so I'm sure you can tell as you're listening as well. And then you have the homeschool section, and we've got several things on here, including how to get started with homeschooling. We have the homeschool blog. I've got a ton of freebies for homeschool moms. And then I have a way to help y'all make money to fund your homeschooling using social media. I've got the business section here, and there's just a few things here for business owners. There's a ministry section coming soon. I've been doing a lot of work with ministry leaders and helping them revamp their bus ministry marketing, their kids ministry marketing, their teen ministry marketing. So I'm super excited about that. And then under the shop section, this is where, as you can tell right this second, it's currently under construction, but this is where you would find the lifestyle planners, including that homeschool curriculum planner. And then I have the work with me section for people who are looking to make a little bit more money or to really take their business to the next level. So the search section is also something that I absolutely love. If you wanted to get that homeschool planner and it's not in the shop window yet, you can literally go to the search section, type in curriculum planner, and it should be the first option right here. So you just click on it, and then it kind of walks you through everything that I just walked you through, just in a little bit more condensed format, and then it has the options for you to order down there. So super, super simple if this planner is something you wanted. But like I said, if it's not something you want, you can also write it down in a piece of notebook paper and kind of do your own thing with it. So that's the one I'm using. Obviously, I'm a little bit partial because it is mine, but there are tons and tons of good options out there. And then the next thing you're going to do is pull up a monthly calendar. So this is an overview of the different monthly spreads that we have. I really like this planner because it is themed. So every month is a new, bright, exciting theme. You're not going to get bored with scheduling out your curriculum, which is going to make you stick with this. And at the end of the year, you're not going to be scrambling to figure out how many days you've done, what curriculum you finished, what you haven't, where you've gone wrong that you could do better next year. You're going to have it all organized in a system because you're excited to show up and actually plug it into the planner. Now, I tried many, many planners. I always would get bored around March. I don't get bored anymore. By the time another month is coming and I'm kind of sick of the format I'm using, I'm like, oh, heck yeah, like I get a really cool new planner basically every single month, which is awesome. So I'm going to show you the monthly on April because that's the month that we're going into. All I'm going to simply do on this monthly overview is, again, just schedule in anything that we have. So I'm going to first scroll up, and I'm going to look at that yearly calendar. So what do I have for April? The Easter party. And I told y'all we decided not to do that, so I don't even have that on my calendar anymore. So I don't have anything on my yearly to put onto this. Now, what I do have is on April 13th, I do have a dentist appointment for the family. So family dentist. Now, you'll notice this is an undated planner on purpose. That way you can use it anytime that you want to. If you do decide to download this, it's not something that only works for 1 year. You could download this and use it year after year after year if you wanted to. So I don't even know what day the 13th is, but ideally what I would do is go in and write in my days real quick, and then I would make sure that I'm updated. So like I said, it's March. In my actual planner, I have my March calendar and I have my April calendar both plugged into it. So that way when things come up, I plug them in and I always know what's going on from week to week. Okay, so the last part that I'm going to show you here is the weekly scheduling when it comes to the curriculum. Now, all the hard stuff's already done. So this is honestly just plugging it in so you can look at a glance and see how much work you have each day, how much of that is independent, how much of that is muddy, and how much of that is hands-on. So this part I love to do on like a Saturday night or Sunday afternoon. I will put my favorite show on the television. I'll grab my favorite cup of coffee or my favorite cold beverage, whatever I'm in the mood for. And then I will sit, and usually this takes me 45 minutes to an hour, depending on if I need to order some library books, or maybe we're getting close to the end of one subject and we need to order the next grade for the next one. Since we do year round, we don't order them all at the same time. So, you know, it's going to look different for your family than it might for mine, but it does not take very long. And it's a crucial part of having an organized homeschool that runs very, very smoothly. So with this, the first thing that I do is decide my color scheme. Obviously, every month is a different layout. This is our layout for September. So this is just the very basic back to school layout, but I love all the fun, vibrant colors. So what I'm going to do is decide what colors I want for the independent, the muddy, and the hands-on schooling, because that is the color I'm going to write with. The independent school, let's put this pink on there. For the muddy school, let's go ahead and make it the blue or aqua, I guess. And then for the hands-on school, let's go with orange. I really like the yellow, but if I write with the yellow, it's not going to show up as well. So we'll do the orange. So now I've got my color coding done. If you don't know what independent, muddy, and hands-on schooling is, make sure you check out the video. There's a video that is attached to this. I've got it in the description section that kind of goes through the different types of schooling that you can do with your child. Independent, in a nutshell, is stuff they can do completely on their own. Muddy is stuff that they've got to have a little bit of attention from you, but you can be sitting at the kitchen table working, for example. They're sitting beside you, available for questions, but they don't need 100% present at that moment. And hands-on is 100% present. You don't want to be doing anything else while they are doing their hands-on work. So now I'm just going to write in the subjects. Up here at the top where these hearts are, that's where the subjects go. So if you do more than 6 subjects a day, then you can double up. I double up. So what I do is my first section is going to be phonics and reading. And you can make this any fun color that you want. I typically do go ahead and make it a fun color that goes with the theme. Or you can just keep it black, doesn't matter. The second section here I do as language arts and spelling. And again, there's not a right or wrong way to label these. So if you do less subjects, then you may not want to double anything up. If you do the same amount of subjects, maybe you do them in a different order. That's okay too. You do this however it is that makes sense for your family. So as you can see, I am just going to go ahead and fill in the rest of these here. We have math, critical thinking, and test prep, music and handwriting, science and history, and then we've got Spanish and Bible. Now, once I'm done with that, I am going to go down and put the date on here real quick. So there's a date section right here. The idea is at the end of the year, you have weekly layouts for every single week in this planner to where you can flip back and say, okay, we got this done on this day, this done on this day. And it just keeps record keeping very, very simple, very easy, in addition to keeping your week organized and running smoothly. So we're just going to do a week that we did in March. So we're just going to put March 6th through 10th because that's the dates that I have for the specific subjects I'm about to show you. And if you are more tech savvy than I am, you may enjoy doing it digitally like I'm doing right now. I'm going to be honest with you, I do not enjoy this. I very much like writing it in my planner versus trying to get it all done on a computer. But this is the easiest way to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. So now all I'm doing is phonics. Remember, we already did that beginning of the year curriculum breakdown. So I know exactly how many pages I need to do for phonics. So I'm just going to break that up. We do a 4-day work week. So we do Monday through Thursday. And so Monday, I know that I need to do 1 page. We do 1 page of phonics every single day. So all I'm going to do is write PH for phonics. And we are going to do, I just said we only do 1 page. We're going to do pages 48 and 49 because it is reading a passage and then answering questions that go with that passage. So obviously I don't want to break that up. That's not something I would break up. So because this phonics lesson has questions attached that I need to ask her, then I know that that would be considered one of our muddy subjects for that day. So just by looking at it, I can tell, okay, so for Monday, I need to have a little bit of time to be able to sit down and do that lesson with her. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of the lessons in here, and then I will go through and kind of give you an overview at the very end, but just so you can see what the finished product is going to look like. Okay, so one, I wish it really, like, I could do this all in that little tiny amount of time, but, that's the perk of technology. It can speed it up and you don't have to sit through the entire boring process with me. But this is what my planner looks like every Monday morning. So I can easily pull this out on Monday morning, grab only the books that I know that we need, and I can have a realistic view of what my day is going to look like before my daughter even gets out of bed. So Monday, for example, I can see, okay, she's got several things that she can do completely on her own. So when she gets out of bed and starts that morning work, I am not going to need to be present at all. I can be doing my chores. She can do it while I'm taking a shower. It can be a very relaxed, stress-free morning, which is exactly how I like my Mondays. There are a few subjects that I'll be able to sit down and be drinking my coffee. Maybe I'll be journaling, doing something that, again, doesn't require my entire attention, but I'm there for questioning. Phonics, the reason that we do that is because I need to be able to hear that she's saying the words correctly. That's kind of the whole point of phonics. Language arts and math, I believe we were learning or just learned a new concept and we were beginning to practice that. So again, just there for questioning. And then I know afternoon school is going to be 100% hands-on intensive. Science and history and Spanish we do together. Science is a lot of reading, and then there's different like vocabulary questions and stuff that is very interactive. Same thing with history. And then Spanish, we use Flip-Flop Spanish. It's a really awesome program, and it actually is done on the computer. However, it's good for the parent to sit and do it with the child as well, be able to answer questions, make sure they're saying words correctly, and you learn right along with them. So it's pretty cool. And then our devotions and our SEL learning or our social emotional learning, we do that as more of a fun time. So it's not actually during our school time. We usually will go out and do this by the pool. We live in South Carolina now, so it's warm pretty much all year round. Maybe not warm enough to get in the water, but it's definitely warm enough to enjoy the pool. If it is a colder day, we may do this in front of the TV. I know during the winter months, I love to turn the fireplace on our TV and do this in the living room with blankets. So kind of however we want to do it. And then Tuesday morning, same thing. I'm going to get out and look and say, oh, okay, I have a little bit more that is going to require my attention today. So probably my workload for my business is going to be a little bit less today. And then Wednesday, I can look and see, okay, same thing, kind of how much am I needed? And the same with Thursday. And then Friday, again, we don't typically do school, but any of the stuff that we don't get done, we can always do on Friday. The only thing, I forgot to do this. The only thing we do on Fridays are going to be her piano practice and our devotions and SEL, because I try to keep that consistent day in and day out, regardless what day of the week it is. Now, devotions, I will say we don't do those on the weekends. She has her own stuff that she does with that, but we don't do the intensive, like sit down for an hour and have conversations and do crafts and that kind of stuff, because Saturdays are kind of our chill day. We don't do a lot, or we have a family game day or a family field trip or whatever. And then Sundays, we're in church pretty much all day. So she's getting the same teaching. It's just not from me. So what I love to do, like I said, is I love to sit down and have this done on either Saturday or early Sunday. And then typically on Sunday night when I'm doing my planning session for the entire week, I can look at, okay, Monday, for example, I know this morning part, I'm going to have a lot of time that I can do my own thing. So I'm going to purposely schedule in a little bit of extra work during Monday morning where I'm maybe going to have less work on Tuesday. So it's just nice to have, again, everything laid out in front of me. There's no guesswork. And then again, it just keeps record keeping very, very easy. If I ever get audited, I don't know what it's called in the homeschool world. I know that's what it's called in the tax world. But audited to where someone has to look at my lesson plans and like make sure I'm actually teaching my kid, boom, here you go. Like we have proof every single week of what we're doing. We're covering all of our subjects and everything is nice and neat and in order. So that is all I've got for y'all today. I hope that this helps. If you have any questions, head over to the Helping Hearts Homeschool Facebook group. I have a post I just put in there today that if you have any questions from this specific video, you can ask on that thread and I will make sure that I answer you. I'll either DM you. If more than one person asks the same question, I'll just get on a video and answer it real quick. If it's a simple question that I can answer in a 2 or 3 sentence thing, I'll just respond back, with a written answer, but I will make sure that I answer whatever questions you have to make sure that this is as clear as possible. So thanks for tuning in, y'all, and I will see you next week.